and discussion in this third stage of consultation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Leanne Dalzell.
Mr. Speaker, I actually don't accept that it's good enough for the Minister of Education to cancel a conference that she was due to attend tonight. She was supposed to be at the conference tonight, to cancel her attendance at the conference tonight.
Point of order, the Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it wasn't my conference and therefore it wasn't in my purview to cancel it.
No, that's not a point of order, that's a debating point. I call the Honourable Leanne Dalzell.
Mr. Speaker, it's not good enough that this minister cancelled out from a conference that she was due to speak at tonight as part of the opening of that conference, and stand here in this House and not even complete the 15 minutes that has been allocated to her to defend the government's announcements last week. And I want to tell her that the devastation that she has wrought on the people that I have the privilege to represent in Christchurch is absolute.
Point of order, the Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr. Speaker, you may well have ruled that the previous point raised by my colleague raised a debating point, but I do think it worth noting that the Speaker signalled as strongly as he could last Thursday afternoon that this debate would take place. Anyone thinks it's a snap debate clearly wasn't listening at the time. And I think the Minister has shown the House appropriate courtesy by being here.
Thank you for your explanation, Mr Brownlee. That too is debatable. Speaking to the point of order, the Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
The Minister was uninterrupted in her speech for her 13.5 minutes. This member has been interrupted twice with spurious points which are not points of order, and I'd invite you to rein them in.
I have ruled on them. Thank you. I call the Honourable Minister Leanne Dalzell.
Mr. Speaker, I don't believe that it is good enough to stand in this House and not acknowledge the impact that this announcement, without warning, without preparation to communities, has heaped upon those people who are suffering down there as a result of the earthquake. And in fact, what I really heard the Minister say was that this has given her an incredible opportunity. That's what the earthquake has given the government, an opportunity to do things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. At the launch, we were told by the government that Christchurch could be the exemplar for the rest of New Zealand. And I want to put this on the record, that the government said that Christchurch would be the exemplar for the rest of New Zealand, because I believe the rest of New Zealand needs to hear what's going on in Christchurch. They have to not see this as a Christchurch issue, but as a government issue where they are imposing their will on the people of Christchurch in order to pilot the work that they want to do in the rest of the country. This is not just about Christchurch. This is coming to a school near you. Every single New Zealander needs to be aware of this. And I have to say that this is the message that's coming back from on the ground in Christchurch at the moment as people reel from the impact of that announcement. Nothing prepared these communities for what they heard last Thursday. The pre-breakfast cross-party forum received from the Minister did nothing to prepare the MPs for what was to be announced that afternoon. Certainly we were told about the clusters, we were certainly told about shared site provision. In some instances we were told that there would be some closures. But when we were told that no thought had been given whatsoever to preparing the community for the announcements, they only talked about the work that had been done with the schools, not with the communities. They had done no work with the communities to prepare them for the announcement on closures. That was admitted at that meeting, and I guess that left us thinking that the announcements weren't going to be the way that they were. We believe that there was going to be some sensible closures, some sensible mergers, that they would have been ones that were being sought. We've already heard that there are 2 schools that are voluntarily going to seek closure in the time frame as indicated by the Minister. Minister. Everyone accepts there has to be change, but nothing prepared the people of Christchurch for the change that this government has wrought upon them. Mr. Speaker, did the Minister give any thought to what was a crushing blow that this announcement would have on the parents and the children who have seen these schools as the mainstay of their lives? And I want to remind this House that there were schools in that children were at schools in Christchurch on the day of the earthquake on the 22nd of February, and those teachers and their principals, they made sure that there was somebody with the children all day until the parents could come. But I know that there was one school where the parents never came, and that's because the father was waiting in Latimer Square for his wife, who would never be pulled from the CTV building. And that was a school that is going to close under the proposals if they are adopted by this government. And I just want to remind this House that there are people in Christchurch who have absolutely depended on the schools to give their children normality, and to give them the security of knowing that they're in safe hands while their parents get on with their lives as best as they can in terms of getting their own lives back to normal. It has been a hard road to hoe, Mr. Speaker, but I have to say that this announcement, the way it was announced, was nothing worse than cruel to the impact that it was going to have on people. Mr. Speaker, what of the announcement itself? The day before, we heard that confessed to by the Minister in the House as she answered questions today. The day before, the principals who were going to close or merge, and actually remember, if 18 schools merge, that means 9 schools close. So there's a hell of a lot more than 13 schools who are going to close in Christchurch. They get a phone call, come to a pre-launch briefing. So they go to the pre-launch briefing, but actually before they go to the pre-launch briefing, they ring round to find out who got the invitation to the pre-launch briefing, and it starts to emerge that actually maybe this isn't going to be quite what they expected it to be. Was that part of the plan? Did they want to create that level of uncertainty so that people who weren't being merged or closed would somehow defend the government's behaviour? And they arrived at the meeting and they were given name badges, and then we found out that the colour of the name badge described what was going to happen to their schools. This is how we treat principals and Board of Trustee chairs. It's absolutely outrageous how they were treated. The Minister then gave a briefing to this assembled group of principals and board chairs, and she told them about the $1 billion to be invested in Christchurch education. She didn't say how much of that was going to be poured into the redundancies that will follow. She talked about the clusters and how this was going to be a wonderful opportunity. And while she was speaking, they were distributing the packs to the teachers, to the principals and the board trustees. And while they were sitting there hearing words like restore, consolidate and rejuvenate, we had them reading their packs, and their packs telling them that those words restore, consolidate and rejuvenate actually were government spin for repair, merge and close. Government spin for repair, merge and close. And I actually think the Minister's been genuinely surprised at the overwhelming response of negativity from the people of Christchurch, and that she had to cancel her attendance at this principals' conference. She knew it was on, she knew it would be a clash with this announcement, and that confirms to me the view that she intended to release this at the end of August, but changed the launch date as a result of the interference of the Minister for Earthquake Recovery's office, and I'm sure that he also advised her how to run government spin around a bad announcement. She knew that the community would be looking for leadership at this time from their school leaders. How dare she treat communities like this, allowing the principals to be away at the time when the community needs them the most. It's arrogance that beggars belief, Mr. Speaker. And now they are learning, Mr. Speaker, they're being led to believe that their views will count. Well, I'll just remind this House what happened when the when this House was asked to look at Aorangi Primary School. And people will remember what happened with Aorangi Primary School and how many of those students went to Burnside Primary and the Minister for Earthquake Recovery's electorate. And how is he going to go and face those parents and explain to them why he closed this school and now closes this school where they have gone? Mr. Speaker, I find it really unbelievable, really, that they have taken this approach, and I don't believe that the government is really going to listen to the people at all, because the minister's made it clear these are firm proposals. These schools are predetermined, and I want to remind the minister that when a board wants to merge or they want to close, there are a list of questions that the ministry asks for the boards to consider. What educational benefits for students we would hope to achieve? Will there be educational and/or social advantages for the students in a larger school? How far away are neighbouring schools? What travel would be involved for the students? Would these schools provide the education the parents are seeking? What are the educational benefits? These are the questions that we will be asking, Mr. Speaker, and I believe that the government has failed to stand in this urgent debate, which they say they are perfectly well aware was going to happen today, and the minister didn't answer a single question that her own ministry would ask a board to answer before they would consider a merger or closure. Everyone expects change to happen in Christchurch. They don't expect a bombshell like this to be dumped on a very, very damaged community.
I call the honourable member Tracy Martin.
Kia ora, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to open, sir, by actually acknowledging